Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Captain's Table. I am your host, of course, Captain B-Nard, and our topic of discussion today is going to be the Battle Hub Draft League Season 3. So, this was the announcement that I sort of teased in the last couple of videos. I have rejoined the BHDL for their third season, and third consecutive season for me, of course, but it's a little bit different this time because this time around I am actually part of the commissioners team for the league. So I am really excited about that. I look forward to helping them create some quality content for the league as I have done in the past before. But also, I'm certainly going to be looking for some redemption for the Philadelphia Pidgeys this season after our abysmal performance last season. So, of course, this video is going to be a complete overview of the league and draft analysis for the team that I selected or was able to put together this season. So, having said all of those things, we're going to get started here. We have a lot to talk about, obviously. And we're going to start off with a general overview of the rules this season, which are pretty much the same as they were in the last two seasons. So here you can see some general rules for the league this season. Each coach had 105 points to draft between 10 and 12 Pokemon. Now, this is a little bit up from last season, um, both in terms of the amount of points we have and the amount of Pokemon we have to draft. Additionally, Pokemon this season are going to cost between 1 and 19 points, so the point values are a little bit higher as well for some of these Pokemon. Now, additionally, as far as Terra Captains go, we have 20 points to pick between 2 and 3 Terra Captains. Pokemon that have a point value of 11 and under are generally allowed to be Terra Captains, although there are a couple of exceptions to this. There was a short list of Pokemon that was carved out by the Commissioners team, myself included, for Pokemon that we wanted to place at a lower value, but still could not Terra. So, yeah, and then of course, most importantly, there is going to be a 9-week regular season, which is a bit up from last season, same as it was in the first season, actually. And then the 8 coaches out of 16 with the best records out of that, or I should say, after that 9-week regular season, will advance to the playoffs, where, of course, it is single elimination. So, um, having said that, I'm going to waste no further time in introducing you all to your BHDL3 Philadelphia Pidgeys. So here we are. This is the team that I was able to draft and put together. And we're going to go over every Pokemon here in a little bit of detail and kind of why I chose to draft each Pokemon, and just the thought process behind them and what I'm hoping to achieve with each Pokemon. So, our first round draft pick, by the way, I should mention that I landed in position number 6 in the draft, which is actually one of the highest. I believe it might have been the highest position in the draft, in any draft that I've ever been in. I can't 100% remember for sure if that's true or not, but I know certainly in the BHDL it is the best position I've ever been in. So I was relatively happy about that. So, on to our first round draft pick. So my first round draft pick this time around was in the top left-hand corner of your screen there. It was Sneasler. So Sneasler is a pretty interesting Pokemon introduced in what many people would refer to as Generation 8.5, which was the Pokemon Legends Arceus. So it was one of the handful of new Pokemon that came out of that game. Um, Sneasler is a Pokemon that I do like quite a lot, dual type, poison and fighting, and it is a very fast Pokemon. It hits very hard on the physical side, and it is definitely the highest point value Pokemon by far that I drafted in this league. Um, I was really happy that I could get this thing. I've been thinking about using it last season, but didn't really get to it, obviously. And so this season, I was just thinking, you know what? I want to start the draft off with something that is really fast and hits really hard and has a lot of versatility and a lot of different things it can do, is very unpredictable. And that is why I went with the Sneasler. So, definitely really happy that I could grab that guy. Normally in a draft league, your first Pokemon is going to be something that you can base your team around. It's going to be something that you really want as a heavy hitter, something that is capable of doing a lot of damage. And I feel like Sneasler kind of checks all these boxes. Um, Obviously, it has a great move pool, great plethora of abilities to choose from as well. So it's just a really solid Pokemon, and really happy I could get it. So, but on to our next draft pick. I don't even have to explain this one. You guys all know at this point what it is. It has to be Gudra. Um, so obviously the shiny is on the screen there because I recently got a shiny Gudra. If you didn't know, um, really pumped up about that. But Gudra is the Philadelphia Pidgeys homer. It is the beating heart of the Philadelphia Pidgeys organization, as I have come to call it now, the captain itself. This Pokemon is just one of my favorites, and something that has been my number 2 draft pick on every single draft league that I've joined to this point. It might be disadvantageous to do that for me, but I will not break tradition. So, of course, we have it there at the number 2 spot. Great special wall, obviously. But tanks both types of attacks very well. Great move pool. Obviously, good abilities to choose from as well. And yeah, just a really solid Pokemon in my opinion. And always happy to have Gudra on board with the Pidgeys. But on to our number 3 pick here. So I wanted a Pokemon that was a strong hazard remover for this third pick here on the team. And so um, for those of you who might remember, in draft leagues past, specifically in the BHDL2, I really suffered because I did not have adequate hazard removal. So I only had one Pokemon capable of removing hazards, and that Pokemon was also my only grounded poison type to kind of alleviate toxic spikes at bare minimum too. So I wanted to pick a Pokemon that had that was really versatile, really strong, and really good hazard removal. And I found my answer in, of course, Scizor. So Scizor is a Pokemon that I know very well. It is another one of my favorites. It is a Pokemon I've used very much over the years. This is the second time that I've drafted it in a league. The first time was quite some time ago, but very happy that I could get Scizor round 3 in the draft, and this thing is just hits so hard on the physical side. Great typing, obviously. Move pool is pretty solid too. Obviously, a very solid hazard remover, and definitely something that the Pidgeys have been lacking in seasons past. So, definitely really happy to bring Scizor back to the Pidgeys this season. So. But on to our 4th round pick here. So for this pick, I really wanted to go with a bulky water type because, in my personal opinion, you can never go wrong with a bulky water type. I think every team should have at least one for the most part. And so I went ahead and grabbed one of the best and most versatile bulky water types, in my opinion. That, of course, is good old Rotom Wash. So Rotom Wash is another Pokemon that I've had on one prior draft league team. Of course, it is just a powerhouse. It has a respectable special attack, but it also has respectable defenses, solid move pool as well, and obviously the typing is incredible. Um, just an all-around one of the most solid Pokemon you could ever pick, in my opinion, for anything. Rotom Wash is just, it's a Pokemon that will never be useless in any circumstances. It's just that good. So can't say enough good things about that. And again, really happy that I could pick this thing up round 4. Um, yeah, just really happy about that. But moving on, we're going to see another familiar face for the Pidgeys organization. And so at this point in the draft, there were quite a few weather teams that were forming around me in the draft. So at this point, I wanted to grab a Pokemon that could be a weather setter, but also a potential screener as well, because that's always good to have. And I wanted something that was fast on the special side. Obviously, having Sneasler being fast on the physical side is one thing, but I wanted something fast on the special side. And so what I ended up settling on is good old Alolan Ninetales. So Alolan Ninetales is another Pokemon that I like quite a lot. It's another Pokemon that I've actually drafted twice before, so this is the third time that I've drafted Alolan Ninetales in a league, so really happy that I could grab this thing round 5 and bring it back to the Philadelphia Pidgeys. It's got good enough typing, I should say. It's got obviously a great niche in the fact that it can weather setting the snow, obviously, which is at the end of the day the weather condition that's least likely to be used against you, which is kind of why I wanted it to erase the weather conditions that my opponents may be setting, because weather is one of those things where if you see it coming and you can prepare adequately for it, you can take it down. But if you're unprepared for it, specifically in a draft league setting, it can easily take you out. So I really wanted something that could kind of counteract, like I said, the other weather teams that were forming in this league here. So, but obviously the Ice Fairy typing is great offensively. Obviously, the old Aurora Veil is something to behold with Alolan Ninetales, getting those defense boosts. So yeah, it's just a really solid Pokemon again, and really happy to have it back on the Pidgeys. So moving on, we're going to get to our sixth round pick here, and that is going to be yet another familiar face. Actually, most of these Pokemon are going to be familiar Philadelphia Pidgeys members, and that is going to be, of course, Mudsdale. So, Mudsdale is a Pokemon that I've drafted once before, actually last season in the BHDL2, and it was actually my last round draft pick last season. It was something that I picked up essentially just because I had the extra points to do it, and I was like, you know what, I kind of want a bulky ground type. So I might as well just pick up Mudsdale. And I have to say, and you guys will probably know this if you've seen my draft recap, that while last season was, as I mentioned, abysmal for the Philadelphia Pidgeys, one of the small glimmers of light of last season was how good Mudsdale did for the team. So I didn't bring it to every game. I only brought it to a few games, in fact, but Mudsdale really put the work in the few games that I did bring it to last season. And so I was so impressed with how well it did that I had to bring it back. And as fate would have it, at this point in the draft, I was kind of looking for a bulky ground type yet again, something that could set hazards, take hits, that kind of thing. And Mudsdale certainly fills that void. So also kind of helps type balance the team as well. So yeah, Mudsdale was a shoe in for me, pun intended. Horse, get it? But I'm really proud and really happy to be able to get this guy back on the Philadelphia Pidgeys. Definitely happy about that. So moving on to our seventh round pick is yet another familiar face and yet another Pokemon that I am really happy that I was able to bring back to the Philadelphia Pidgeys this season, and that is going to be Arcanine. So, this is, of course, the actually third time that I've drafted Arcanine to the Philadelphia Pidgeys as well. More recently, it's been on the BHDL1 Philadelphia Pidgeys. And you guys might remember Arcanine was kind of in an awkward spot in the BHDL1 Philadelphia Pidgeys because, based on the way that I put the team together, Arcanine really didn't come to all that many games just because there was another fire type on the team. There were a lot of other ground weaknesses on the team, and it just didn't end up coming to many games. And then a couple of the games that it did come to, it didn't do very well thanks to my poor planning and just poor playing. Um, but I thought, you know what, Arcanine is another Pokemon that I really, really like, and it's one that I want to bring back to give it another shot and another chance to shine. So that's what I wanted. As luck would have it, here in the seventh round, I was looking for a strong fire type, one that could not only hit hard but also take hits too. And Arcanine definitely fills that void. It has a great move pool, priority, the whole 9 yards, useful abilities, obviously. So definitely happy that I could bring Arcanine back to the Pidgeys. But that is going to take us to our round 8 pick, and that is going to be only the second new Pokemon here for the Pidgeys organization here, and that was Mesprit. So at this point in the draft, going into round 8, I was looking at the team and I was thinking, I really wanted something that had either a resistance or an immunity to ground and or fighting. So those were some types that I was concerned about, and of course, Mesprit being a psychic type with the levitate ability has a resistance to ground and an immunity to fighting. So that was one of the key reasons that I wanted to bring it on. Additionally, while it is kind of slept on in its legendary trio. because obviously Azelf has the better offensive stats, Yuxi has the better defensive stats. Mesprit kind of splits the difference, so it's like right in the middle. It does have very respectable stats actually, and an insane move pool to boot. So I definitely wanted to try this thing out and thought that it kind of fit around the rest of the team that I was forming at this point very well. So I was happy that I could grab this guy in round 8 and hopefully give it a shot and see if we can do some good things with it. Like I said, just the move pool on this thing is just absolutely insane. You can do so many different things with this thing. You can be defensive, you can be offensive on the physical or special side, you can set hazards, you can status. There's just so many things you can do with this thing. So really looking forward to using it this season. So um, that's going to bring us to the ninth round. And in the ninth round, we decided to go ahead and pick up another familiar face for the Philadelphia Pidgeys, and that is none other than Pincurchin. So, Pincurchin, as you guys might remember, was a real cornerstone of the BHDL3 Philadelphia Pidgeys, which was quite a successful team, if I do say so myself. Um, that was the season that we actually did make the semifinals, and that was in large part to Pincurchin. So Pincurchin obviously is a pure electric type, so I don't mind having two electric types on the team just because thanks to Rotom having Levitate, they don't share any weaknesses, which is pretty nice. But additionally, and more importantly, I should say, the Pincurchin obviously has that electric surge to set the electric terrain. So I certainly wanted at least one Pokemon that could set terrain, obviously because of our number one pick there, the Sneasler, to try and make use of the Unburdened set, of course, if I so choose to. But additionally, Pincurchin has its own little niche as it has a pretty respectable move pool, can set a lot of hazards, decent stats too, actually. It does hit quite a bit harder than you would think. Um, and yeah, it's a pretty solid Pokemon all around. So also has priority as well. Almost forgot to mention. So yeah, you can't really go wrong with it in my opinion. But yeah, that is going to bring us to the 10th round where we decided to go ahead and draft our final Pokemon here. And that was, as you can see, the third and only other new Pokemon to the Pidgeys organization this season, and that is Arboleva. So, Arboleva, a new Generation 9 Pokemon. It is a dual type normal grass. So, it is another terrain setter. That was a consideration for me. As well, its typing really seemed to fill the void of some resistances that I needed covered on the team. So that was another big reason that I wanted to grab it. This thing is pretty respectable in terms of stats as well as move pool. This thing actually hits really hard on the special side. Um, so yeah, while it was a Pokemon, obviously in the last round that I chose to draft, I could still see quite a few scenarios where I could bring this thing to battle. So definitely having that extra power and versatility, obviously having the normal and grass typings as well can be very useful depending on the situation. So yeah, that pretty much rounds out the team there. I decided to go with a little bit of a different strategy this season as far as quantity of Pokemon. So last season we maxed out. So we drafted the max number of Pokemon. This season we went ahead and drafted the minimum number of Pokemon to try and make the team a little more top heavy, make it a little more stacked, have a little more power concentrated in fewer Pokemon. So I wanted to try that out because obviously the strategy last season didn't work very well. So I kind of wanted to go the other direction with that and just see where it takes me. And so yeah, overall, I am actually very happy with the team that I put together here. I have to say that not once, and this you guys might find this hard to believe because for all of you who were following the draft when it was happening, this was pretty much the season of snipes. So many coaches got sniped this season on their picks. It wasn't even funny. But there was one coach that did not once get sniped on any of his picks, and that was me. So I got extremely fortunate in this draft to not be sniped a single time. So I got pretty much everything I wanted when I wanted it on this team. So I couldn't be more pleased with that. And overall, I am very happy with the team I put together. I am feeling more confident about this team for sure than I did with the last team that I put together. Now, obviously, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. That doesn't necessarily translate into wins. But it is a very positive feeling that I have with this team to start this season off. So, having said that, we're going to go ahead and show you guys which of these Pokemon are going to be my starting Terra Captains this season. And those are going to be finally, yes, finally, the Goodra after 8 seasons of being a Philadelphia Pidgey, 8 different draft leagues. Goodra is finally a Terra Captain. Really happy about that. I thought it was finally time because the numbers kind of added up and worked in my favor. To go ahead and make Goodra a Terra Captain, as my other Terra Captain is one that was a Terra Captain last time I had it, and that is going to be the Arcanine. So I think as far as the logic of the Arcanine being a Terra Captain, it's pretty self-explanatory. We're all familiar with the Terra Normal Extreme Speed strategy, so obviously that's a big consideration in making Arcanine a Terra Captain. So even if it doesn't come, or even if it's not even Terra Normal when it does come, just the prep that forces is pretty strong, obviously, and for with good reason, because it is a really impressive strat that Arcanine can wield. So the logic for Goodra, however, being a Terra Captain was a little bit different, because Goodra is extremely tanky, obviously, and so being able to change its type and perhaps give it access to coverage that it didn't have, although that's pretty difficult because Goodra has an insanely wide move pool. But nonetheless, having those options on Goodra just seemed really good, and the way the numbers added up with the other Pokemon on my team, and just the way the logistics worked out, Goodra was definitely the Pokemon for the job to be the other Terra Captain. So pretty excited about that. But having said that, we're going to keep on rolling here, and we're going to come to our season schedule here in the BHDL3. So here you can see all 9 of our weekly opponents this season, from 1 to 9, weeks 1 to 9, I should say. And here they are. So we kick things off with a couple of newcomers here to the BHDL Draft League. Those are going to be Anastasia and Lazy Boy, 2 coaches that honestly I don't know much of anything about. Anastasia in particular, I really don't know much of anything about. Lazy Boy, I know a little bit about, while he was never in this draft league before. Neither was Anastasia. He is kind of a regular on the Discord server. Go ahead and join the Discord server, and so on and so forth. Not going to do the intro right now because I got to save my breath for the rest of this thing. But yeah, he's a pretty solid battler. I've seen him quite a bit, obviously. Then we have our weekly matches against De Best Not Really and Emerald Miner, 2 coaches that we've played last season. Actually, I believe we played both of these coaches in both seasons 1 and 2. So we have our third. This will be our third match with De Best, and I think our 4th match overall with Emerald Miner this season. Then we have, in the following week, we have a matchup with Rolder, which is a coach that we've played once before, actually, in the BHDL Season 1. Then we have a matchup against Scorpion, the new owner of the Battle Hub Draft League, and an individual we've played twice before, I believe. We played him in a free game and as well the Season 1 of the BHDL. Then we have another coach we're quite familiar with, that is Virdu, also known as Biridu from the Discord server. Again, not enough words in me to do the full thing right now, but it's all good, as this is another coach that this will be, I believe, our 5th encounter with Biridu. We've played him numerous times in free games, and then we played him in the BHDL 1 as well. We were actually slated to face him in the BHDL 2, but never did. Ironically, in week 8 of the BHDL 2, as we are playing him in week 8 of this season as well, which is kind of ironic. But yeah, there's that, so that's pretty interesting. And then finally, we have a game with Lionel, who is an individual I believe I've played once before, though not in a draft league. I believe we just had a free game a little bit ago. Um, and yeah, if we manage to do good enough against any combination of those nine opponents, then hopefully we can make it into the playoffs. As obviously we have no opponent because we don't even know if we're going to make it to the playoffs. But hopefully we can because, as I have stated a couple of times in this video already, I was pretty disappointed with the way last season went. Pretty disappointed with pretty much everything, honestly. The team, my performance, the luck, just everything that went down last season. So definitely looking for some redemption for the Pidgeys this season. Um, but that's not all we're looking for, as that is going to bring us to this season's prize. So I am super happy to have been, in a way, I take 50% of the credit, I should say. The other 50% will go to the British underdog, Just Weevil, for dreaming up our prizes for these seasons of this league. So in season one, the winner got to be the Pokemon Scholar. In season two, the winner got to win the Pokemon Viola. And now in season three, we have none other than a prize of the first ever Pokemon Scarleton. So we have a fashion frenzy on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. In case you didn't know, Scarleton is a company. I didn't know this either until I looked it up. Um, but Scarleton is a company that makes purses and other bags. And so I decided to peruse myself and find myself the most beautiful Scarleton I possibly could, and it is right there. It's a nice backpacking looking thing. Hopefully, you get the symbolism of just being dead from that thing, as it is dead funny, these jokes, I think. So, the big question on everyone's mind, forcing us to Jack React, there is who will win the first ever Pokemon Scarleton, and you can obviously see it right there on the screen, the beautiful Scarleton that will go to the winner. So, having said that, a couple of closing remarks. So, I'm really excited about this season. I know I kind of say that at the beginning of every draft league season, but it is truly how I feel. Um, like I have mentioned a couple of times here, really looking for some redemption this season for the Philadelphia Pidgeys after last season. Um, I'm feeling okay about everything so far. I'm feeling okay about our schedule. I'm feeling okay about the team that we put together, and feeling like I'm in the right frame of mind to hopefully make something happen this season. So yeah, just feeling positive and looking forward to hopefully a good season here in the BHDL3. So, but that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching again, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed it. Please hit that like button, leave a comment, and or subscribe if you did enjoy, and stay tuned for more new videos in the future. Coming your way shortly, we are going to have our week one game for the BHDL3. As well, we're going to have the return of the weekly recap and preview videos in between those weekly games as well. So, yeah, we're going to be getting back into league mode here, and hopefully it goes well. Hopefully we can make it happen this season. So, stay tuned for all that. That's it, and we'll see you next time.